Hi, my name is Bob Sharpenkamp. I work with Smith System here, and I'm going to today show you how to build a split height Motum desk. It is highly recommended that you do this in a team, and so today I'm going to have Matt Dewey help me out. First thing we've done is we've gotten everything unpacked. We've confirmed that all the parts are here, and we're going to follow along with the instructions and walk through the assembly process. Okay. First step is we're going to take panel A and the two little brackets called A7 and attach them to the panel, so that's shown in the instructions, using the little supplied T25 Torx bit. This is number 8 in one of the kits. And for this, we're going to use a lot of item number 1. In the assembly instructions, it is either referred to as 13-1 or 11-1. They are the same fasteners, they are interchangeable. So for the purpose of this video, we're just going to refer to everything as fastener number 1. Okay, next step is we're going to take our previously assembled panel A and we're going to install it onto our little piece here, A3. A helpful hint for these are these little guys here. They double in purpose as spacers. And so I'm going to take them and set them like this. So when I push these fingers over this lip, they'll stop at the right height. Like so. And we're trying our best to get the two sides lined up with each other, but we will be removing this panel later on. So for now, we're not going for super precision. There is, if you look here, you can see some holes that are pre-drilled to help and keep this kind of stable as you're assembling it. You can shoot a screw in here to hold it in place, but we'll return it later or remove it later on. Okay, next we're going to take the previous assembled panel and we're going to install the hinge assembly, which is B2. The orientation of this is important. If you see here, we have flat piece here. It is going to be on the same side as the hinge that has the short cutout. It's a long cutout, short cutout. We're going to use 3 of item number 1, or fastener number 1, and hold it in position. Next, we're going to take the 2 metal brackets. This is A4 and A5, and we're going to use fastener number 3 to hold them in place. There's both kits have fastener number 3 also. They're the same fastener. Turn it around. This bracket here has some adjustability built into it. So when we put this on, we're gonna do our best to line up this face with this face, but you can leave it a little loose until we attach a board to it. Okay, Next step is we are going to put item A1 and panel B, fasten them together. You just slide panel B in as shown. There are some fingers on the bottom side of A1 and you just pull it up until they sit on top of there. And then we're gonna try our best to make sure that panel B is centered between these two legs. We're again gonna use fastener number 1. Next, we're going to take panel P and brackets B8 and B9 and attach them. B9 is the only one that's different. It's easy to tell. It just doesn't have additional slots in it. It goes right here. And we'll do our best to line it up square with the edge. We're going to use, again, fastener number 1. Now we're going to flip panel P over, and we're going to attach the other 2 brackets here. It's pretty important that these brackets, this face and this face here, are flush with each other. So we're just going to take our A10 and hold it up against when we tighten the screws in to confirm that everything is flush. Again, fastener is number 1. Next step, we're going to take panel S and item B12 along with our latch kit. In the latch kit, all we need is the catch and the 2 smaller fasteners. We're going to install it as shown here. We're going to do our best to make sure that it is, I like to start out with it about even with the edge banding using a number 1 Phillips bit. We'll get it tightened in and we can come back and adjust this later. To install B12, you just slide it underneath like this. The orientation does not matter. And then we are going to take some of fasteners 1110 and 11.3. And these we only need to finger tighten. We're going to leave these loose so that we can adjust them later. This uses a T25 Torx bit. Next step, we're going to need panel F, our previous assembled panel A, A11, and then we're going to use these little handy spacers, A10. Everything is going to be put together using fastener number 1. We are just assembling on the top. We'll be screwing nothing into the top at this point, but we're just going to use it as our large flat surface. So to start with, we're going to take the 2 A10s, position them roughly so. Put this guy here, and then we're going to take panel F and stand it up on top of these to give us proper spacing. Now what is crucial is that this face and this face are flush. So Matt's going to hold a square up to here while I shoot screws in to hold it into place. We're going to do this at the top and the bottom. I'm going to shoot one in the top, and then we're going to go and shoot one in the bottom, and then we'll come back. Okay, everything's still square. Yep. Okay. Shoot these. And then this piece here, which is A11, we're just gonna push it up to the edge of here and shoot in the 4 holes on the underside here. And then once we've gotten this tightened, we're gonna go back in, and if this isn't already tight, tighten these 2 fasteners here. Okay, next step, we're gonna take our previous assembled panel S and panel P. First step is we're gonna take panel S and we're going to slide it into this corner. It's gonna sit on top of this lip, but it's gonna be underneath these brackets here. And this step is crucial. You want to make sure that there's no gap between this edge and this edge, as shown here. Again, we're going to use fastener number 1. Panel P just slides into place as here. And again, we want to make sure that there's no gap between panel S and panel P. Again, fastener number 1. Okay, next we're going to take panel B7 and we're going to attach it to panel B, or panel P and panel F, using 6 number 1 screws. Next, we're going to take panel B1 and install it here. First thing we need to do though is remove this screw here that we use to hold this panel in place. B1 just sits as seen here. You'll use 3 of fasteners number 3 from the underside here. I recommend doing those first, and then we'll come back in and shooting the 6 number 1 fasteners on top. These all use the same Torx bit. Next are the 6 number 1 fasteners here. We're going to take our little spacer here, which is B4, and we're going to slide it in underneath A11 here, and just line it up with the pre-existing holes. And then we're going to line up these 2 brackets here with this edge, and we're going to line up this bracket with this edge, and we're going to fasten it down using 6 number 1 fasteners. The top itself doesn't have any pre-drilled holes for these 2 locations. Depending on how you particularly assemble the process, it might move a little bit. So you just need to shoot the screws in wherever the slots allow you to. Next, we're going to take one of the A10s that we've been using as spacers, and we're going to put it right here. We're going to line up this edge with our line here, our reference line, and then we're going to press this face up against this face so there's no gap. And then this face and this face will be flush. We're going to use 2 number 1 fasteners to hold it in place. Next, we're going to take our panel A12 and place it right here. And we want to make sure that this face and this edge of the panel are flush. We're going to use a square to confirm that, and we're going to shoot 1 screw on the top and 1 screw on the bottom first. here A9 and panel G, and we're again going to use our little handy spacer A10. The edge of this bracket will line up parallel with this, like so, and then we're going to take A10 and put it in behind to function as a spacer. Panel G will slide into these slots here, and while confirming that it is touching this bracket here, we're going to shoot in all of our screws. There should be 6 #1 fasteners in total. Let's just get this guy in first. Okay. Okay, next we're going to take our previous assembled panel B and bracket A8, and we're going to attach these two together right here. It's a good time now to pull out your little spacer. We're going to do our best to make sure that the gap between this leg and panel G is about the same. We'll use 2 of fastener #1 into panel G. And we'll use 2 of fastener #3 into the leg. Next, we're going to attach the leg to the top here. And you can see here, there's a line. All we want to do is be parallel with this line. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this face and we're going to line it up with the wood edge here. And if we don't line up perfectly with the line, that's okay. We're just going for parallel. So, just like so. And again, we're going to use fastener #1, and we're going to fasten the 8 here and the 3 here. So next, this step varies on whether or not you have the 60 or the 72-inch model. The easiest way to tell is the 72 has this cutoff right here. The 60 is 12 inches shorter. If you're doing the 60-inch one, you would take your A10 bracket, put it in here, make sure that the metal face lines up with the metal face over here, and shoot 2 #1 fasteners into it. But we are doing the 72-inch version today, so we are going to take our stiffener here, slide it in through the hole, and line it up with the scribe lines that you see here. This brace comes with its own hardware pack. These are also fastener #1s. Next, we're going to assemble our lift mechanism. We're going to use the butterfly plate B10 and the lift listed as item number 11. You want to make sure that first the tape is pointed down, and then the larger side of the butterfly plate is on the same side as your cables. Place it as shown, and we're going to fasten it in place with 4 of item number 5 and number 11. You can use the supplied number 7 Allen key. Next, we're going to take our bracket B8 and attach it to panel R with the pre-drilled holes here and 2 fastener number 1s. Again, we want to try to make sure that this face and this face is flush. So I'm just going to use one of our other brackets to hold it in place to confirm that it's flush. Okay. Next, we're going to take our assembly and we're going to flip it onto its face. And then we're going to take our previously assembled panel R and 2 number 1 fasteners. We're going to insert it as shown, and we want to make sure that our shelf is sitting on top of all these brackets here. And then we're going to shoot in the 2 fasteners here, holding our shelf in place. Now we're going to take our assembled lift and we're going to slide it carefully through these 2 holes here. And then Matt is going to use 3 of the 11/4 fasteners, and you can use the supplied number 7 Allen if you'd like. I don't. I would rather use power drill. You may have to twist the lift to get the screw holes to line up. Next, we're going to take brackets B6 and B3 and install them here. We're going to start with B6 and we're going to take these 4 tabs and slide them into these 4 slots here. Like so. Same with B3. And we want to make sure that the edge of B3 lines up here. And then we're going to take B6 and pull it back this way and try to create a small gap here. Next, we're going to take fasteners 9 and 10. And from the back side here, we're going to hold these 2 brackets into place. Next, we are going to install our casters and our laminate covers. Laminate covers are items number 9 and 10. On the casters, some have locks, some do not. The ones with the locks will go on the top, and the ones without a lock will go on the bottom. The laminate covers install with adhesive. Go still take off the backing, install it just here. Okay. Next, we're going to flip it onto its casters. At this point, I'd like to confirm that the casters are actually unlocked. Next, we're going to take panel K and set it on top of the butterfly plate here without removing any of the adhesive backing. And also, there is a drill pattern put into this top, and we want the holes to be on the same side as the handle. Using the right lever, Matt's going to press down on the top, and then he's going to keep pressure on it, and I'm going to let go, and then he'll let go also. Now we've set the height of our column for the next step. Next, we're going to remove the adhesive backing. And we are going to use the little pencil retainer that comes with the kit. And we're going to use it as a spacer now. So we're going to set it on the edge here, press it against the panel as shown. What we're using this for is to create a gap. We're going to make sure we're lined up front to back here. And once we're happy with our positioning, we're going to give a firm press to try to seat the glue. Next, Matt's going to keep pressure on the lift, and I'm going to again press the right handle, and I'm going to help it raise up enough so that I can get a drill in here. So Matt's going to keep pressure on it. I'm going to grab the drill. We will use 4 #1 fasteners to attach the butterfly plate to the top. All looks good. Next, we're going to fasten the handle in place. The tops are drilled to be operated with either your left or right hand. It is your preference. We're going to use 2 #1 fasteners, and for us, we're going to mount this one to be operated with your left hand. And then we're going to use the supplied clips to hold these cables in and out of place. For the assembly of the left hand, we're going to use the 2 most front screw holes. Now that we've got the top on, we've confirmed it's fitting the way we want it. We're going to go in and we're going to tighten the previously installed 4 screws that hold this in place, trying to make sure that it's centered. So make sure everything still moves freely.
All right, we're going to attach the striker plate, which is item number 2, with your screws, item number 3, that come in your latch kit. There are 2 holes at the top of the door that we're going to use for this. Just to point out, there's an arrow that is on this striker plate. You want that to face in to the door where the other holes are for your hinge. We're just going to put the screws in the middle for right now. They are slot holes, so you can adjust this later if for some reason it doesn't line up with the other half of the latch. Okay. Then you're going to take your lock kit, which is item number B5. It'll have this striker plate in it that has these 2 little points. They go into 2 little holes on the outside of the lock hole. Orientation of this is important. refer to your instructions for that orientation, and you basically just hammer it in. So your lock, the orientation of this is important. Where the flat sides are, they'll have a number facing on the rounds. The number either needs to go right side up or upside down, doesn't really matter, as long as it's in one of those positions. For this one, I'm going to do it right side up. Slide it into the hole, and if this striker plate comes off as you're doing this, no big deal. Just push it back down. You're actually going to be holding it together with this nut. And then take a adjustable wrench and tighten that down. Nice and snug. Then you have your lock arm. Orientation, this is also important. You want this little jog to be facing up, and you want it facing towards the outside of the door. Use a screw that came with the kit, and with your Phillips, tighten that down. Then, just to make sure everything is working, key inside the lock, turns, you're good to go.
Next, we're going to take our door, panel Q, and we're going to attach it to the hinge. We're going to use 3 #1 fasteners. And then we're going to check and see if it latches correctly. As you can see here, we're off a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a Phillips bit, push it in, make our adjustments now. Like so. We're also going to make sure that we're hanging level here. All looks good. So now we are going to shoot in 2 more locking screws. We're going to shoot in a locking screw back in here on the back side of the hinge with a #2 self-piercing screw. And then we're going to shoot a final #1 screw in there. And then the final step is we are going to take our pencil retainer here, remove the adhesive backing, and we're going to line it up with the edge and center, and then this little lip here will be facing up.
So to be able to close this lid even every time, what we like to do is to hold both handles, hand right over the column, push down, let go, it'll stay nice and flat. For adjustment, your right is your up and down, your left is your tilt.